IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we discuss the story of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners. Hi guys, I'm your host Saif, and our guest traveler today is Vyjay from the blog Voyager. Vyjay, along with Sandy, are a blogger couple based in Bangalore. They're both marketing professionals who blog about family travel, outdoor adventure travel, city breaks, road trips, luxury travel, and a lot more. They also cover resorts, restaurant, and hotel reviews that are very useful for someone looking for some sound advice. Together, they've been featured in Travel 1K Top 1000 Travel Blogs, Holidify Top Travel Blogger, Huffington Post, and Thrillophilia's World's Best Travel Bloggers India series. So with that introduction, I'd like to welcome our guest for today, Vyjay from the blog Voyager. Vyjay, welcome to the show. It's an honor, a real honor to have you on our show.
Thank you, Seb. The pleasure is all ours. Thanks for having us on your show.
Excellent. That introduction I gave was kind of short and sweet. So why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners, Vyjay, how did your whole tryst with traveling start? When did the travel bug actually get to you?
Okay, so we go a long way back. And before I start on that, we are a couple blogger, husband and wife. So I blog along with my wife, Sandy. She's not there here, of course, today because she had some other commitment. So we go a long way. Travel started right from our childhood for both of us. Because actually, if you see, our parents could be termed as nomadic because they had government jobs and they were transferred from one place to another. So few years at one city and then they move on to another. So travel was something ingrained into our blood. So that's how travel actually started in our very childhood.
Awesome. And how long have you been traveling together as a couple?
It's about 10 years now.
Excellent. Moving on, it's just a tradition of the Musafir Stories that each week we pick a travel destination of the writer's choice and we discuss the ins and out about it, the itinerary to the preparation to everything. So where do you plan to take our listeners today?
Okay, I would like to take them to Sikkim. This is one part of India which is less explored, and there are areas and places probably many do not go to. So there is something we found fascinating about Sikkim.
And what can one expect in Sikkim? Just for maybe first-time listeners, what can one expect in Sikkim?
The nature. The first would be nature. Actually, some people term it as Switzerland of India. Okay, so you have huge mountains, snow-peaked mountains, waterfalls, rivers gushing by, and temples, and a lot of spirituality because there's this influence of Buddhism. Buddhism has left its footprints pretty strongly in Sikkim. So whole atmosphere is great in Sikkim.
Excellent. I do completely agree that Sikkim does look like paradise on earth, and it's probably one of the lesser explored places in India.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So moving on from there, how long is the itinerary that you planned for? When is a good time to travel to Sikkim, or when did you travel to Sikkim?
Okay, Sikkim can be traveled any time of the year, but we generally we prefer to travel when not many travel. So
off season.
Off season, because number of advantages, lesser crowds, costs are less, and so you enjoy the experience more. So we actually, for example, we go to cold places in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when people are heading to warmer climates, we head to the colder places. So that's how we do. So we traveled probably in the month of November, December, when it's actually winter is setting in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and probably now October, November is the best time to travel to Sikkim because it's not very cold, but it's very pleasant and cool, and you can enjoy the place. And Sikkim, there are many places you can cover in Sikkim. It depends on how many days you have at your disposal.
I think it's a really good travel hack as well, right? Traveling in the off season that way.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
terms of budget as well as the time and there's not a lot of tourists around, so you can explore the place, travel as well. So I think that's a brilliant hack.
That's correct.
Yeah. So let's get to the specifics. How did you get to Sikkim? For a beginner, just give us where you traveled and what's the nearest airport. I'm assuming you went there, you flew there. So
That's
how did
right.
we get there?
Okay, sure. So as you mentioned, we are based out of Bangalore. So we flew. There's a place called Bagdogra in West Bengal.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is very near Darjeeling. So for the listeners, Sikkim and West Bengal, they border each other. There are two states which border each other. So we flew down to this place called Bagdogra and took a taxi. That is, we traveled by road to a place called Pelling. You can also go to Darjeeling if you want to from Bagdogra. Darjeeling is also quite nearby. So we traveled to Pelling, which is about 6 hours drive
from Bagdogra, right?
From Bagdogra, about 6 hours. The distance is not that much, but because it's mountainous area, so driving is a bit slow. If you take a morning flight, probably by late afternoon you would reach this place called Pelling.
Okay.
So
Vijay, just to ask, so we're traveling towards the south of Sikkim from Bagdogra, or is this upwards? Which way? Give us some sense of direction.
It would be northwards, actually.
Okay.
Upwards.
Okay. The taxi, you said, was this all planned and booked ahead of time, or did you find somebody you landed at the airport? How did this work?
No, we had a taxi booked, which actually was with us for the entire stretch that we covered in Sikkim. So it was essentially a road trip of sorts. So we traveled around Sikkim by road, and we had this taxi which actually took us from Bagdogra, and after spending our time in Sikkim, dropped us back at Bagdogra Airport. So this was all pre-booked.
Excellent. So, continue with your journey. Where we headed? What are things you can expect to do in Pelling?
Sure. Okay. So as I said, the first pit stop was Pelling. So Pelling, it's a gem of a place. It's very pristine, pure, and just to give a sense of orientation, it's about 135 kilometers from Siliguri. Siliguri is very near Darjeeling, and it's about 115 kilometers from Gangtok. Gangtok happens to be the capital of Sikkim.
Right.
We spent a couple of days in this place. So some of the highlights of this place are you get absolutely stunning views of the Kanchenjunga mountain ranges.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And that is, in fact, in the hotel that we stayed, when we woke up in the morning and drew the curtains for the window, we were really stunned with the view outside, snow-clad mountains and the sun rays just touching it. So it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and I think it's such a pleasant surprise, right? Because a lot of times when you're driving and reaching that place late at night, you don't really see what's in your surrounding. And when you wake up to that, it's just a different feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happened. So, and having a cup of coffee and looking at that view, it's something totally out of the world. And going from an urban jungle like Bangalore and having your coffee and breakfast and looking at the mountains, that's something. Those are the moments that we actually look forward while traveling.
Awesome. So, Vijay, tell us how you spend your 2 days in Pelling. What are some of the things to do and see?
Okay. The first thing that I would recommend what we did was this absolutely divine lake called Khecheopalri Lake. Okay, which you need to drive it from Pelling. Not too far, probably just about maybe 10 to 12 kilometers. And the road takes you to beautiful winding mountains and scenery. And there's a small Buddhist temple which is situated on the lake. And the lake is really very beautiful. It is supposed to be a sacred lake, and it is sacred for both Buddhists and Hindus as well. And that it is a wish fulfilling lake. And not when we went there were hardly any people. So it's not your typical lake where like you have lots of people, and so it's absolutely divine. So surrounded by green trees, the lake actually looks green and a nice place to go. So this was the first one that we visited.
Awesome. And in terms of preparation, do you need anything like, obviously, since you were going there in December, I guess warm clothes is a must.
Yeah.
But something in terms of boots, snow boots and stuff like that?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't need boots or anything there because there was no snow there. So, but you need to just protect yourself, normal sweaters and jackets, things like that. Apart from that, nothing.
Awesome. Also, at what altitude is this? Is, say, mountain sickness something to be really worried about, or were you guys just doing fine?
No, it was absolutely fine. No mountain sickness. So this is about not more than 7,000.
Okay.
So it's fine. So there's no issue there.
Excellent. So how long did you spend there, and what was your next pit stop?
Okay, so we spent some time there, and then we went to this. There's a waterfall, again, a very nice natural waterfall with crystal clear water flowing, which is called Kanchenjunga Falls. Okay. So this we went to this place, spent some time there. The other one is there's a bridge called Singshore Bridge. Okay.
Singshore.
It's a hanging bridge, and quite an old bridge. So that is one of the sites that you have to look into and spend some time there. And there are some monasteries along the way which you can visit. They are quite old, and actually some of them may not even figure on any tourist list. Small monasteries, but they have a very pristine atmosphere. I mean, you can go and spend some time there. So those were the ones that we visited along the way.
Awesome. And I think this where like hiring a local travel agency or a local guide or a local driver, for example, helps, right? Because a lot of these things are not available on, say, Google Maps or anything. If you're doing it by yourself, you may easily miss out on these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So our driver, he was also not only a driver, he was a guide, and he became a friend as well because he was with us for 5-6 days that we traveled around Sikkim. So he knew every nook and corner, and the places that he suggested, which actually were not on our plan at all. So
awesome. And just give us a sense of time. How long in the day are we when we have covered all the places that's mentioned?
Probably, I mean, if you really want to make use or, do slow travel, you shouldn't do all of them in one day. Okay. So we did these over 2 days.
Okay. And then I probably should bring it up at this point about your lodging, right? The arrangement, you were staying at a proper hotel, or was this a homestay? What kind of an arrangement was it?
Okay. So normally, because we travel, we book, we stay in hotels. So generally it is 3-star and above, unless, there are some places where we don't have that kind of a facility. There was this lovely hotel. There are a lot of hotels, but we were able to zero in on one which was absolutely good. It is called D Regency.
Okay.
Okay, so the hotel is good, and what we liked the most about it was, as I mentioned at the beginning, the view of the Kanchenjunga mountains. So from the room where we were staying, just opening the curtains, we were able to see the mountains. And we could also, as soon as we come out of the hotel, we could go for small walks or treks along the mountain road. So we loved this place, and the food was great too.
Excellent. And Vijay, how did it all work? Was it all booked together, or did you individually book the lodging and then the travel part of it, or was this one complete package that you booked?
No, it was not booked completely, so it was separate actually.
So after having spent 2 days at Pelling, where did you head out to next? We'll start with that, right?
After Pelling, next destination was actually supposed to be Gangtok. Okay, so we were heading for Gangtok. When just talking with our driver, we came to know that there is this small place called Ravangla. Okay, so he said that this is a nice place which we should visit, and it was not much of a deviation either. So just probably a 10-kilometer deviation from our normal route, which we would have taken to get to Gangtok. So we said fine. So we went to this called Ravangla. This place is something, one is also situated about 7,000 feet above sea level, and from here you can get very good views of the greater Himalayas.
Okay.
If anyone is interested in bird watching, this is a wonderful place because many of the Himalayan birds you find here, like grey bush cat, the dark-throated thrush, laughing thrushes, and many more. So these birds come. It's a good place for trekking. And apart from that, the major attraction of the place is there is a park, and it's called Buddha Park. It's a huge complex, and there is 130 feet of a sitting Buddha, which dominates the place. So you can actually see it from far. And there is a garden around this statue. It was a lovely place. We didn't stay there. We thought maybe next time around we should, because there are a lot of you can catch a sunrise there from Ravangla. I think 4 kilometers. There is a sunrise point where you can actually see the sun rising and also see the mountains of the greater Himalayas. So it's supposed to be very beautiful. We didn't see that, but we just spent probably 4 or 5 hours, which was unplanned. So after that, we resumed our journey.
And I'd just like to add, for anybody interested, you should go and check out the pictures on Vijay's blog. There's some magnificent pictures of the Buddha statue, a golden statue, and in that backdrop of the mountains, it's even more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, on our site, we have posts about Ravangla. We have posts about Pelling, which we just talked about. Mm-hmm. We talk about Gangtok as well, and Nathula. So that is the last one that I'll be talking about today. So we have posts of these pictures as well, and the experiences that we had. So anyone interested can always check out that.
Excellent. So, carrying on with our journey from Ravangla, where did you guys head? You said you were heading towards Gangtok, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, spent some time in Ravangla, and then we picked up our route again and headed towards Gangtok. And Gangtok is the capital of Sikkim.
Right.
And so it's about 5,400 feet above sea level. And unlike many of the cities that we've seen, for example, Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi. So there's a lot of difference there. It's high up in the mountains, and the kind of systems they have in terms of cleanliness, traffic management is, very good. Quite different from what we see in some of the other Indian cities that we are very much familiar with. So that's Gangtok for you.
So Vijay, what are some of the things to do in Gangtok?
There are a lot of things one can do in Gangtok. I'll just tell how we spent a day in Gangtok.
Sure.
So we started the day off early in the morning by a visit to a temple. Actually, it's called Hanuman Tok, and this is a temple which is dedicated to the Hindu monkey god known as Hanuman.
Right.
And this temple is standing on a hill, on a small hill. And it's maintained very well, and it's if you get there, it's very picturesque, and you have an absolutely fantastic view of the Gangtok city from this spot. And one interesting thing is the temple is maintained by the Black Cat Command Indian Army. So so this is a nice place to start off in the morning, and you can go there. And even before that, probably like what we did, there is a very famous shopping area which is center of Gangtok called MG Road.
Right.
You have MG Road, most of the cities and villages of India. So this is it's a shopping mall. It's traffic free. There's no traffic there, and one can shop to your heart's content. And they have some amazing cafes also. So there is this small cafe called Baker's Cafe, mm-hmm. where we had some almond muffins and cinnamon coffee. So that's how we started the day, and then we went to this temple. The next stop was there's a monastery called Ranka Monastery.
Okay.
This is a relatively new monastery, but it's very huge, and the unique factor is its hugeness. And you can reach. It takes about actually an hour to reach this place by car. The road is not that good, and you have this giant prayer wheel. So most of the monastery, one of the feature is you have this prayer wheels which you can rotate and rotate. So this is something that we did, and you can. I mean, if you are into meditation, you probably can spend some time meditating in front of. There's a stunning Buddha statue inside the temple, so you can spend some time probably meditating. And there are a lot of monks who live there. The monks are like right from 3 years old. They'll be happy to pose for pictures with you as well. And again, spectacular view, and there is a terrace which you can get to of the monastery, and you get again some breathing views. And especially if you are there at the time the sun is setting, it's absolutely wonderful.
Awesome. And just going to the point earlier about the local cafes and everything, how's the local food and the local cuisine? Did you get a chance to taste some of that?
The local cuisine is good, but our experimentation is a little limited because we are basically vegetarian. So, so we do. There's a lot of you can have non-vegetarian food, but we did try vegetarian food. Again, rice is a basic. Base for a lot of preparation. So rice, vegetables, and noodles, and momos. So these are some of the things that we tried out. Okay, so
awesome.
And it's a different thing. I mean, eating in the hotel restaurant that you are staying is one thing, but if you try out the small outlets, maybe have a momo or noodles, I mean, the taste is something different, because that is something we look at when we are traveling, because you get a local flavor in that, which probably if you're staying in a 3-star, 4-star hotel, you will not get.
Exactly my point. So, excellent. So, from Ranka Monastery, where did you head to next?
Okay, so the next is, there is this Institute of Tibetology, which is called Namgyal Institute of Tibetology. Right. This museum, it's dedicated to Tibetan culture, and there's a branch of Buddhism which is called Vajrayana. Okay, so you can find very old manuscripts, cloth paintings, and ancient artifacts which were used by the Buddhist monks, which is housed here. And the building itself is a heritage building. You can also buy souvenirs here from the bookshop. There's a bookshop within the museum where you can actually find mementos, jewelry. Okay. So this was a pretty nice place, and just if someone is planning, it is closed on Sunday, so you would need to plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up. So, from the Institute of Tibetology, did you head back? How long in the day has it been so far?
So it was pretty like somewhere the afternoon, later afternoon. So there, just near this museum, there is this stupa, again a Buddhist stupa. Mm-hmm. It's called Dodrul Chortan Stupa. Okay, so again, another place where example of the spirituality and calm, which is normally associated with Buddhism. So there are prayer wheels, and one unique thing was if you go there, there are thousands of earthen lamps which keep burning continuously. Okay, so these and you can also opt to light one, and if you pay a piece of INR 100, you can light a lamp and keep it there. So these lamps are burning perpetually, and they are for world peace. Okay.
So anything else to see in Gangtok, or what's the plan?
Yeah, there's just one place in the evening that we spent. So it's a waterfall again. It's called Banjakri. Okay, so this is a natural waterfall, but it's situated within a park. It's a theme based on there's old culture or civilization called the Shaman, Shaman culture. So this park is based on that culture, and it's a nice place to chill out and breathe some mountain air. Even the locals spend time with the family there. So we spent the evening there. So towards the end, we spent some time. So like we felt rested, and then we were back to hotel.
Excellent. So from Gangtok, you said you were going to move on to Nathula Pass, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. So The next day, the plan was to go to Nathula. Okay. Nathula Pass, if you need to go, you just can't walk in or go there.
Exactly.
You need a permit. You need to have a permit. Okay, so because it's on the Indo-Chinese border, so
Right.
anyone or can walk in. So you need a permit beforehand, for which you need an ID.
Okay.
So our driver helped us with that the previous day. We had, given our documents. So he got the passes for us, and we were ready. So we were supposed to start quite early.
How far is this from Gangtok, and how long does it take to procure this pass?
It actually doesn't take much time. It's a couple of hours. So, you need local help probably,
Okay.
because if you go there, maybe a couple of hours if you have the right documents. And another thing is Nathula Pass is open only to nationals. Okay. So
interesting.
So you there is a point beyond which you foreign nationals will not be permitted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but only nationals can go up to Nathula Pass.
Okay. And is there any expense related to this, or how affordable is this?
No, for the pass, no, it's probably 1,000 rupees or so per person. You'll have to spend, and for us, there are like jeeps which travel from Gangtok to Nathula, and they actually, so if you get onto them, they will give not only the pass but also your journey to and fro.
Okay.
But for us, because we already had the vehicle with us, so that we had it to ourselves. Otherwise, if someone is traveling alone, they have this shared or pooled kind of a vehicle going, so which takes 4 or 5 people, so they can travel with that. But we had our own exclusive vehicle, so that was not an issue.
Excellent. And in terms of documentation, do you need your passport or any like your maybe your driver's license or your voter ID works?
Anything will do. Okay. Anything will do. Anything will do. Talking about Nathula, let me tell you, as it happens in more cases, the journey itself is sometimes spectacular, if not more, than the destination. Mm-hmm. So we were traveling to Nathula, which is about 14,100 feet above sea level. So Nathula Pass happens to be a very ancient part of the ancient Silk route. It connects here to China, and as I was mentioning, it is out of bounds for foreign nationals. Okay, but they can go part of the way. So I'll just come to that till what point they can travel to.
Okay.
Okay, and one probably quick tip to note: this place is open to visitors only from Wednesday to Sunday.
Is there any specific reason behind that? Do you know?
Security, basically. The other thing is because of the weather, the high altitude, it's open only from May to probably November.
Okay.
After that, snow and all, it's it's not it'll be closed. You will not be able to get there. So late November, early December. After that, it'll be closed for at least a couple of months. But the best time actually to visit is from May to October, because that's the time when the weather is better.
Right, and given that it's at a height of above 14,000, so that complicates things as well. So
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so how's your experience getting there?
It was great. So as I said, we started from Gangtok early in the morning. We did stop for some hot breakfast. So it was again hot Maggi noodles with a cup of mint tea, and that was a pit stop. The road is bad, and it's probably, anyone interested can check out the blog, and some photos are there. So it's a wine road, and you pass through amazing landscapes, so sometimes barren, sometimes green, and sometimes like it's as you move higher and higher, the landscape keeps changing. Okay, so amazing views and very rough terrain also. Okay, so the roads again built by the Indian Engineering Service, so they actually roads cut into the mountains, so it's a winding path and travel quite slow. Okay, so that is the journey. One important destination on the way is there's one huge lake called Changu Lake.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, foreigners can travel till Changu Lake only. and this lake is where like you have yaks and all, and you can actually ride on yaks. And
That's nice.
okay, so this lake, most part of the year, it will be like frozen. The height at which it is situated is about 12,300 feet. And the lake is made, or it is fed by the melting snow mountains. It's frozen in winter, and it's very beautiful. Probably it starts freezing towards the end of December, January. So
Okay.
but there was a lot of mist, so we had to actually strain our eyes to look at the lake because it was a bit misty, and we couldn't actually take much photographs. Going on from Changu Lake, there is one place where probably there is a small town called Tegu, and here you can find what the ATM at the highest altitude in the world. There's an
I've seen some pictures of that.
yeah. So this is at about 13,200 feet.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so the next place is town, which is if you move on now another 400 feet above, so you reach 13,600 feet. There is this small Sherathang, a town called Sherathang. So this is actually a place where a trading place. Okay, it's a border post where India and China trade. So the trade happens between India and China here, and we could actually see Chinese vehicles which are for the trading parked there. So this happens, not every day, but weekly, maybe a couple of days that trading happens. So
interesting. And is this a little bit of a detour, or does this just on the way to Nathula?
It's on the way. It's on the way. Okay, so the next place, which is pretty interesting, very different that we went to was there's a unique temple, okay, which is situated at an altitude of 14,400 feet, and it is called Baba Mandir. Okay. Now the unique thing about this is it is not a temple to god or goddess. Okay. The temple is dedicated to an Indian soldier, and it's actually a memorial to a soldier who died, and actually the legend has it that his spirit roams the area even today. So this is actually a bunker where the soldier was doing duty for India, and the bunker is now converted into a small temple and a museum, and they have a bigger temple which is there right below that. So
that's a really interesting place to visit. I feel
yeah,
it's really different from everything else we've spoken about so far. And
yeah.
Was this something built or brought up by the locals, or by the government, or how
not the government? It's the army. Okay. Themselves have bought it up, and they maintain it as well. And his uniform and other articles are still kept there. And as I mentioned, as per local legend, his spirit is still said to roam the mountains and actually warn the Indian troops of Chinese troop movements around the region.
I'd love to go and visit this place.
And the views are really stunning. I mean, you can from here you can actually feel that you can touch the clouds. It's that good, and you have yaks grazing in the background. One tip probably because here the oxygen level goes down little because 14,000 feet and above. So you may feel a little difficulty in breathing. So if you are going there, if you have kids and all, probably it may be a little difficult. But you could travel, maybe buy some oxygen cylinder or take some precautionary medicines because it does tend to go here.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that tip.
So again, Nathula Pass, after this we reach final point, which is Nathula Pass, which is 14,140 feet. The uniqueness of it is its location. Okay. And you can just see the snow. You can, on a clear day, probably you can see beyond across, and you can spot some Chinese posts also in Chinese territory from this place. Okay. Yeah,
interesting. And as you said, it's probably more about the journey in this situation than the destination,
yes.
Right?
Absolutely. So and again, you can't spend too much time in this because as we were watching, the weather was good, but even as looking at things, the weather started becoming like it was. The sky started darkening because it becomes dark quite early, So you have to leave to get back by 4 or so. Okay,
Okay.
so around 4 we have to start driving back to Gangtok. So that again takes about 4 hours. So driving back, we were back in Gangtok only by around 8:30 like that. Okay. So as you said, it was a totally different experience, and unlike anything else probably one gets. And the journey was really something. I know words are not adequate to describe that kind of an experience.
I know, probably have to. The best thing you could do is go visit that place to
Yes, absolutely.
Feel it. That's the best way possible. And the other way, as I said, is to go visit iamvoyager.com. That's the next best thing you could do. Go read up and get inspired and get out there and visit Sikkim. That's the best thing you could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Vijay, moving on, did you guys fly back from Gangtok, or did you still go back to Pelling where you started your journey? How was your return trip like?
No, we didn't, because the next day we spent we left in the afternoon after just we were a bit tired after the traveling all the way 14,400 feet. So
Sure.
we started late, had a late breakfast, and then by afternoon we left again, traveling back to Bagdogra. Okay. We did spend a day, I think, but again, that's not part of Sikkim. This was more in terms of West Bengal. Okay. But we drove down to Bagdogra Airport, and then we flew back from Bagdogra because we had a flight booked from Bagdogra to Bangalore. So this flight, there is a direct flight from Bangalore to Bagdogra. Mm-hmm. Only thing is it goes via Kolkata, so there will be a half an hour stopover
in Calcutta.
Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So that's it. So after that we were back in Bangalore.
The concrete jungle, right?
Oh yes.
If I have to ask you one memorable moment from this journey, from this trip, if you have to just shut your eyes, what is that one thing that pops up from this whole trip?
Okay, sure. So this, I actually shut my eyes and thought, and this is what came into my mind. So we were traveling in between somewhere around 13,000 feet above sea level, and I could see stretching out in front of me huge, rough landscape, not a soul around us. So just me, my wife, and the driver was there, because there were no other vehicles. It was, what you could hear was just the wind, and I could see the clouds and mountains, snow-clad mountains, and the blue skies. And for a moment you felt, it's something like heaven is there. Probably this is something very close to it. So that was one experience I could never forget.
Absolutely. And somebody who's been leading a city life, this stands out so much, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I agree. And anything in hindsight you would say covered or not covered, any part of the trip?
Yes, there are a lot of things, because we need to go back, because Sikkim is huge.
I'm sure.
3 or 4 places which actually our driver told which we need to go back. Okay. One of them is there is another lake is there which is very high, I think 15,000 feet or so. There is Kanchenjunga.
Okay. We've actually covered that part of it in a different episode. So yeah, it is beautiful. I agree.
So those places we visit. And the other thing was we were actually very near the Bhutan border as well. So if we had taken maybe a turn here or driven a few kilometers, we could have gone to Bhutan, because that is another place that we would have loved to go to.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I'm sure I've heard from a lot of people. So towards the end of the show, I'd like to ask you, Vijay, what other projects or what other travel is on your horizon? I'm sure you do a lot of other work. So what's coming up?
Yeah, I immediately probably will be heading to Rajasthan, and there's a contrasting with what we just spoke about. Yeah. So it's more of desert, sand dunes, heat, and camels, etc. So we would be exploring Rajasthan.
Excellent. Vijay, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all this while. You've been an excellent guide and more. You've given us tips, you've given us things to do, things to all of that. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for all of this. And I'm sure a lot of my listeners too want to read and more of you. So what's the best way to read more of your work?
Yeah, the best way is that just need to visit my site or our site, which is www.imvoyager.com, and they'll find all our travel stories over there, tips as well. So we've traveled not only across the breadth of India, but between us, we've probably traveled to about 10 countries. I know it's small because we want to travel everywhere, but you'll find us there. And probably one thing, Seth, that I would like to add here is we do not look at travel as something we do to check off names from a bucket list. Okay, we travel more in terms of actually living that experience, living that moment. So that is how we try to differentiate us.
That's an excellent message to end this. And Vijay, again, thank you so much. I wish Sandy could have been with us and shared more instances too, but I'm sure we can do this another time. But until then, thank you and happy traveling.
Thanks a lot, Seb. I need to thank you and for having us here. I appreciate what you are doing, and I wish you all the best. And I'm sure Musafir would go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes, Audioboom, Stitcher, Pocket Radio, or any other podcasting app that's available on iOS or Android. You could also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com and visit our website www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of the podcast. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.